this special edition of On the Capo Stand podcast. I am your host, David, and alongside two people that do not need any introduction. If you have been an Orlando City fan for quite some time, you know these two gentlemen from England who share a passion that you and I have for the boys of the 407. So first, I'm going to go ahead and introduce them in no particular order. I'm going to start with Dan, the English Lion. Dan, say hello to the audience, and if you don't mind introducing yourself to those that perhaps have been living under a rock and don't know who you are.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you for having me. As David said, I'm Dan. I'm behind the English Line Twitter account. I've been following Orlando City since about 2011. It was my first game. It was a 0-0 draw against the Dayton Dutch Lions in the USL. It sticks in my mind because there were 4 red cards in that game, and it was 0-0.
My goodness.
The most bonkers 0-0 draw I think I've ever seen. I'm from Nottingham in England. I'm a Nottingham Forest fan, and that's about it really.
Okay, fantastic. And of course, we couldn't leave behind our friend Taylor from Orlando City, UK. Taylor, how you doing?
Hey, David. Thank you for having me. I am ready for an Orlando City game now. It's usually around this time on a Saturday night where we'll be tuning in to Apple TV. A couple of weeks without it, fine, but I'm ready to go again now. So I'm glad we're chatting OC tonight.
No, absolutely. And the purpose of the show, it was just to give a platform to Dan and Taylor, who I have said it before. I have learned a lot of football from these two gentlemen. I owe Taylor my fanatism of Stevenage, thanks to the platform that he has given Orlando City, UK. In a couple of weeks, I'm going to be attending a game with Tom, our good friend Tom Lord from Orlando City, UK. He's going to be here visiting from Bolton, England. So, of course, we got to catch horse from Orlando City and partake, both of our families get together and all that good stuff. So, without further ado, friends, let's go ahead and get your vision and your opinion of what our MLS season has been so far. We started the season with a lot of expectations, as you guys remember. We sort of hit the skids early on, but a lot of people were asking for a new manager change, including yours truly. And then Oscar Pareja decided to ignore the noise, get to work, and we left the regular season with before the Leagues Cup with a win over our hated rival Atlanta United at home. So at their house, so that was impressive. So let's start with Taylor, and then we're gonna go with Dan. Has the season met your expectations? What could you change? Oscar Pareja, just give us your insight on that.
Wow, there's a lot to get through with this question. It's been a roller coaster ride, no pun intended, with Orlando being Orlando, but it's always a roller coaster ride. Fifth, though, when we resume the regular season against the Fire next weekend, fifth in the Eastern Conference, touching distance of Nashville in a top 4 spot. I think we would have all taken that by this point. Thank God we got here, because it was a mess earlier on in the season. What I wanted to say on this pod tonight, on the Capo Stand, was I'm a staunch Oscar Pereira fan. I love the guy. It's kind of been a running joke within our Orlando City UK WhatsApp. I'll say joke, but Dan will know very well. But I was kind of the one. We all love Pappy for what he's done for the club, but it wasn't pretty earlier on in the season. I've got the Wikipedia up now just to remind myself. I don't actually like reminding myself, but we were a win, a loss, a win, a loss, win, a loss. Crazy kind of streak that you rarely see. And it just left all us other supporters like, huh? Like what is this? Because the Tifo said it on the home opener, hungry for more, and we just didn't see it on the field in terms of joint up performances, effort. And I mean, for the world, it looked like Oscar was losing, the team spirit and the band of brothers that he's put together the last couple of years. I will put it this way: I held on for as long as I can, vouching for the man, and now he's turned it around and he's shut out the noise, like you said, and he got to work at Osceola and got everyone together, and we've turned it around. I kind of just wish I held on that one more week, kind of saying, no, he's still the man, because he has turned it around, and credit to him, and I'm so pleased. But I'll be really, really honest to all of the listeners. Everyone that kind of had doubts about him and said, is he the man? I think, we really appreciate the Open Cup and everything he's done, turning the culture. But you can't really begrudge anyone. You said yourself, David, feeling the way, thinking now's the right time to change. As we look back on it now, I'll go back to what I said initially. 5th in the Eastern Conference, all power to him, and fair play. Sometimes, sticking, to your beliefs. The Wolf family stuck with him in the tough times. Sometimes it plays out. I'm really, really glad, as an Oscar Pereira fanatic, that he's kind of got us to where we are. It's by no means we've achieved nothing this season, but I'm so glad that we're on the brink. I was even writing in my blogs with my affiliations of the club that the guy is under pressure. He rode that period, and now we're looking much better for it. So, I think we can be excited for the 11 regular season games that remain.
Fantastic, Dan.
Yeah, it's kind of an odd one, really. I feel like you and I spoke about this, David. I was very much, and to sort of caveat this before I actually say it, Oscar Pereira has never been anything but a gentleman with myself. I'm quite fortunate that I get access to the team after matches, and I can speak to Oscar. I've spoken to him quite a few times. He's such a lovely man. As a human being, he's absolute top dollar. So, I did not want to see him fail at all, but I did get to a point, particularly at the start of this season, and really about 2 months before the Open Cup win, where this started, where I felt like a change was needed. Because as lovely as he is, my priority has and always will be this football club. I'm a fan of Orlando City, and it's the same with my club over here. I'm a fan of Nottingham Forest. The person who's in the manager's seat, they're not irrelevant, but managers and players come and go. And we got to a point, I can't remember which game it was this season, but like Taylor alluded to earlier, it was very bitty. It was very inconsistent. You'd win one, you'd lose one. You'd win one, you'd lose one. And there were so many games, I can't even recall how many, where we'd go 1-0 up and you'd sit on the lead, we'd sit on the lead, and then we'd get pegged back. And it was just, it became very monotonous. And then something just clicked. Like we're more expansive. We play on the front foot. We get players. We've got wonderfully gifted players like Facundo Torres, Tincho Rieda, who are very technically very good, who can get into pockets of space, can make things happen, and we're actually allowing them to do that now. And it's great to watch. And so I'll hold my hands up and say, yes, I was Oscar out, but I'm very much Oscar in now, because he's made the changes. We play the way that we want to see the team play, and it's great to watch. It's so I'm happy, but I've spoke about it on Twitter earlier today. I don't really know what a successful season is at this point, because obviously we had the Open Cup win. That was great. And you kind of want to build on that. Once you win a trophy, you want to win more trophies, especially me when you're not used to it, basically. Mm-hmm. Taylor will be more used to it than I am, but being an Arsenal fan. But I wanted more. I got greedy. I wanted more. And then, we're out of CCL, which, to be honest, I didn't really expect us to get that far in. So I was okay with that. But then the Open Cup really stung. Round 1. In a Tim Pot High School stadium.
Yeah. Against a team that got eliminated by a USL side after they played us. So.
Exactly, yeah. And we've given up our title just like that. And then you kind of looking at it thinking, yeah, okay, we've got Leagues Cup. It's probably our most realistic chance of a trophy. Mm-hmm. We're now out of that. We're still in the running with the MLS Cup and the Sports Shield, but realistically, how realistic is that? So how do we quantify like a successful season now?
No, absolutely. And then you brought up the Open Cup, a great success. I am on record that since our early years in USL, to me, the Open Cup, a trophy that it's the oldest, kept the flame alive for football here in the United States for decades, while we had no league and the sport had been relegated to something that was played in ethnic social clubs or
Mm.
in neighborhoods of immigrants. That's the reality. If you look at the champions of the the Open Cup in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s, I mean, they're Italian organizations, people from Eastern Europe, people from the UK. I mean, that's the reality of that. And so I wanted the trophy. I wanted to win. We won it, and like you said, we failed to defend it. So with that said, losing to Charlotte, who has it's a awful side, got clobbered last night by Miami. We lost to them at home in a game that where I just wanted to control my anger because I was just like, I can't believe I'm seeing people that have not seen a win in months laugh in my face.
Yeah.
So the Open Cup and being not being thrown out of the Open Cup as defending champions as we did. Uh, do you think it sort of skews your opinion of a managerial change? If again, we are not saying puppy in, puppy out. I mean, we have in this podcast we have said we have to let the powers to be make that decision in December. But does it skew it in either one direction? Because in all honesty, to lose the way we did with the firepower, I think our team this year was better than last year. So did it do that? So Taylor started this time. Dan, we're gonna start with you on this.
It's a tough one. I don't think it really tarnishes my view of him. I think the proof will be in the pudding with the rest of the season. I think if we're in a scenario, and I don't think this will happen, by the way, I do think we'll get a home playoff. But if we get to a point where we're just scraping in 7th place, last game or two of the season, and then we're one and done, then you're kind of like, well, is this the end of the road again? Because whilst that wouldn't necessarily be a failure of a season, it would feel like one, if I'm being honest. I kind of said earlier, I think conference finals, you look at that and you think that's a good season. So then in that scenario, I would then give him more time to build on that. So yeah, I think it really depends on how the rest of the season goes.
Great. Taylor?
It is difficult because, like I said, CCL were out, but it was our debut, season in that campaign, so that was always going to be tough. The Open Cup, which we've touched on, that's the one that really stung because we were the holders and we gave it up at the first opportunity. Leagues Cup, I'm sure we'll dive into it later on in this pod, but we were never going to win that game. So yeah, I agree with what Dan said. It is really hard to quantify from this point forth. I mean, what we all want, despite all of those competitions I've just mentioned, is MLS Cup. But as biased and ardent Orlando City supporters as we are, I mean, we've only lost 2 games over the last couple of months in regular season play, which is fantastic. But you'd have to be, it would be quite a shout to come on here tonight and say, I strongly believe we can go all the way. I think this team has a bit of a gap to make up with some of the top sides in Major League Soccer at the moment. So it is really tough, but conference finals, like Dan says, that should be the aim. I mean, the short-term aim is a top 4 position. I mean, in one of my previews a couple games ago in MLS, so it seems like ages ago now, I kind of wrapped my head around the new revamped MLS Cup playoffs format, and believe me, remember the scenarios going into the Santos Laguna game. If they made your head hurt, the MLS Cup playoffs will make your head hurt. But I think I've finally got my head around it now. But essentially, if you finish in a top 4 position, and correct me if I'm wrong, either of you two, if we finish in the top 4 position, which is what we crave, we play the best of 3 series, and we play 2 of those games potentially, if we've not won it in 2 at home. So it's even more vital this season than it has been previously to get in those positions. And like I say, we've been used to scraping in. We've all got the meme hit of scraping in. Columbus last season. You remember the game with Nashville,
Montreal before, yeah.
Montreal. It's exciting, but this club really needs to kind of, aim higher than that. We should be finishing in the top four. I think a lot of the attitudes around this season and why we struggled so much as a fan base, and we were really questioning Oscar earlier in the season, is the fact that I think even outsiders really expected Orlando City to kick on this season. And anyone can win the transfer window, so to speak. But we genuinely brought depth and quality into the roster this year. And we've seen over the last couple of months that depth kind of count. People like Rafael Santos, a superb addition, wonderful left foot. We've seen his quality.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen, Ramiro Enrique. He's clearly a talented player. He's unfortunately for him, he's got Urchinkara and Duncan Maguire ahead of him. But we now have that depth, and that's really helped Oscar out, being able to call on that quality depth. So what I'm saying here is the expectations were really high, and we were really excited when we kind of saw Orlando City still in that 1.0 mode and kind of just playing 1-0 and when we'll sit on it. It was really annoying. Anyone who really knows Orlando City, that wasn't good enough. So I'm so glad whatever's happened on the training ground, we've now kind of got that team chemistry and we're going after teams. We're playing protagonists, which was the biggest culture shift since the Christ days, the O'Connor days. So yeah, I've gone off tangent a little here, but the sentiment tonight is that I'm really, really glad that we figured it out, because it was looking dark. And I mean, the game that changed it was Inter Miami. That was the game, the 3-1 victory down at Drive Pink, pre-Messi era. That's the game. I think if Oscar lost that one, and the state bragging rights and everything that game means to us, I think if he lost that one, we could, it could have gone a completely different direction.
No, absolutely. I mean, beating two rivals, Miami and Atlanta, will get you a lot of rope.
Credit in the bank. Credit in the bank.
Yeah. You can also hang yourself with that rope. So to conclude the Open Cup, as of right now, Wednesday, August 23rd, Miami is going to be facing Cincinnati at Cincinnati, and Houston is going to be playing against Salt Lake City, and that's going to be at Houston. The winners of those games are going to go to the Open Cup championship and claim the trophy that, of course, Orlando City has left vacant. It's up for grabs. Let's now go to. Yeah, go ahead.
I hate this.
I know. Especially now that Messi may have the opportunity to lift that trophy, and we're gonna talk about that, guys. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Taylor.
I'm just waiting for it, to be honest, David. It's such a shame that they're going to take it from our cabinet. And to all the Orlando City supporters watching, I don't like to be so defeatist. I'm praying it doesn't happen, but I mean, come on. Look at the sides they're right now. Yeah,
for sure. We're gonna talk about that. And so Leagues Cup. And I'm gonna preface this by saying I read on Twitter from, and I can't remember who wants subs. I apologize for not giving that person proper acknowledgement, but saying that we just had bad luck in the draws. In CCL we got the best team in the draw with Tigres, and we only drew them because, if I'm not mistaken, Pachuca have been drawn with them, but the rules say that not two Mexican teams cannot face each other. They pick another ball, Orlando City, right? And then when we go to the cup now, the Leagues Cup, we were the only group where winner plays winner.
Yeah.
And of course, it had to be Messi. Now, I have to say one thing. We had already before players of this stature come to MLS and fail miserably, right? Or not do what they were supposed to be doing. I think Messi, it's a player that is abnormal, but also I can't lie to you guys. They've been playing at home, practically all their games. They almost got bounced out. Dallas left them off the hook. I felt that in our game, based on what the Spanish language media says, a lot of people outside of Argentina, of course, feels that the refereeing was obscenely unbalanced. Especially, if you follow me on Twitter, I posted a video that I found on TikTok where this guy from Spain basically says, this is obscene. Look at the discrepancies here. Messi asking for yellows, and the ref just gives it to them, and he goes in slow motion showing that the player never touched Messi, etc., etc. I know we in the show we will give our opinions and all that, but I want to see your opinions on this. And I finish with this. I know that a lot of people in the United States and Canada were demanding that we are more like Europe. For example, right now English football has returned. There's league play. The Carabao Cup has taken off. Obviously, the FA will be later on. So there's a lot of competitions, and then you got the Champions League, etc., etc., Europa League, and all these other tournaments, which is great. Which here all we had was the Open Cup and the tournament itself, the MLS Cup. So now that we have all this stuff, I want also to see you guys your opinion about how the tournament is going and everything. But I'm not gonna guide you on what you should say. Just from your heart. Dan started it last time. Taylor, let's go back to you.
Do you know what? I've really enjoyed the Leagues Cup, and I didn't think I'd enjoy it as much as I have. A bit of a radical idea, to be honest with you. Pausing the regular season is kind of something that's happened more in North American sports than it has in English football. So, it's taken us a bit more time to get used to. But I've really enjoyed it, and I think mainly for the fact that it's nice seeing Orlando City play different clubs. We've all seen them play, NYCFC 200 times, and even Cincinnati like 30 times. So it was really nice to see us play. We played the Dynamo, obviously, in the first game, but it was nice to see us play Santos Laguna and Tigres. The two legs I really, really enjoyed earlier in the season, and I just kind of wish that we were kind of a bit further along in our schedule when we faced Tigres, because we pushed them really close. But I've really enjoyed the Leagues Cup, even though it took a bit of a while to get used to the rules and kind of certainly how you qualify when everyone was kind of locked on 3 points. But I've really enjoyed it. It was something different, and I didn't think I'd enjoy it so much because we'd just kind of built up that head of steam in MLS, and we'd just beaten Atlanta, who I detest, as you all know, as you all do. And I was like, I just want to play the next. I want to go to Chicago far away, and I want to keep motoring. We built up a head of steam, but I think it was good for us. We prolonged our penalty shootout victory. I think it's 8 shootout victories in a row now. Incredible. The Santos Laguna game, I'm gutted I missed it. I don't watch all of them this season because I'm getting older now, and it is increasingly harder to stay up into the wee hours, especially with the mid-season weather delays. But Laguna game, that was a moment. Watch the highlights about 5 times the next day, and that was a real moment, that Cartagena winner. So I think we had some real high points of the season in those 2 Leagues Cup games this season. So obviously that shines favourably on my view of the tournament. And then the Miami game, a game that, again, I didn't watch live, but you all read our article that we put out on that afterwards. I think I was so proud, though, despite the result and everything that went down. We all know what went down by now. We've all dissected it. I'm not going to go into it all again on this podcast, but I was really proud of the team, though, because they really got under Messi's nose. He got carded, and I really do think the lads left it all out on the field, and that's all we can ask for as supporters. That we don't like that team. We were never going to win that game, anyway. I know that sounds, like incredible, but we were never going to win that game. So all we could do was try and make it as difficult as possible. Messi's movement and, his spatial awareness is insane. Like you saw on the replays, he's the only guy moving, and we've got, 11 purple shirts static, so he was brilliant in the game, and the moves deserved it. But how I want to kind of round Leagues Cup, I've really enjoyed it, but how I want to round it off was it was incredibly sour going out. I hate going out of any competition. The way it was incredibly bitter. And like all other Orlando City supporters, I'm hoping that Miami don't get their hands on it, because he's a genius. I love Messi. I've always been a Messi fan.
Mm.
The help in the hands they had in our game, I mean, come on, that's what. Come on.
Yeah, Ben.
Just kind of piggybacking off that point. The whole thing stank a little bit. I mean, again, I couldn't watch it live because as great as Apple TV has been, I've really enjoyed their coverage. Their kickoff times for us are horrendous.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the earliest one we've had this season is like 12:30 past midnight, and usually we get a couple of games where there's like a 6 or 7 o'clock kickoff. It's normally the Red Bulls or someone away. But yeah, Leagues Cup, I was very skeptical going into it, especially with all the rules. I found the rules, the penalty shootouts, the 2 points, and all that kind of thing. I found that like really confusing, because it's just. I think it's probably because I'm English. I'm just trained. My brain is trained to think 3 points, win, 1 point draw, penalty shootout if it's level, and that's it. So, but once I actually got into it, like I did really enjoy it. Kind of similar to Taylor, that our exit has left a bit of taste in my mouth, and I haven't watched it since. I've got all of the highlight shows stacked up on Apple TV, so I will watch them once I've gotten over it. The whole thing just kind of feel a bit set up now, though. Like, I don't see a scenario where into Fort Lauderdale, because I refuse to call them Miami, don't win it. I just don't. And I hope I'm wrong. I really do. But yeah, overall, it's been great. The entertainment value has been good. Also, it's been kind of fun playing, as Taylor kind of alluded to earlier, the Liga MX teams, because over here they're not really. Liga MX isn't really covered at all or talked about. I mean, outside of like FIFA and Football Manager, like, I mean, people could probably name you the top teams, like your America and Tigres, but they wouldn't be able to tell you the first thing about them. So it's been kind of fun to like A, play those teams, and B, just learn a little bit more about them. So I'm such a football geek. I love learning about football in other cultures, and so that's been fun. Overall, it's been a success. It's just a bit of a circus now with Messi. And the thing is with our game there, I mean, don't get me wrong, I'd hold my hands up and say you don't leave the greatest player of all time unmarked in your area twice. You just don't do it. It was poor defending. It's great movement, but it's also poor defending. But every single call, and I could watch it with a clear head. I wasn't watching it in the moment where I was tired or in the heat of the moment. I'm watching that and thinking, that is just ridiculous. Mm-hmm. Some of the calls and the penalty, it's just.
Don't start me. My tongue.
It's just ridiculous. It's just ridiculous.
No, absolutely. And just so you know, Mexican media, who obviously has a lot invested into the tournament, because there's obviously Mexican teams, call that penalty a sham. They flat out said in Mexican football for many decades was plagued with corruption when it came to the referees. So for them to say that, I think it takes a lot of balls just to. I mean, because I don't know how else to label it, because they know that it's gonna put them in hot water with the Mexican League, and MLS really doesn't want that feeling that their partner feels cheated. Personally, I think next year we need to play Mexico. I think American fans and Canadian fans would love to go down there. It's a different culture experience, and to build on that, then I'm very familiar with Mexican teams because, well, I lived in Texas for a while, so there was a lot of Mexican fans that still inherit even though their families have been here maybe 2 or 3 generations, they still have that hold of their former clubs. And also growing up in Puerto Rico, where, even though it's a United States territory, a colony really, uh, Spanish is the language that we use for everything, and we had a lot of Mexican media on TV, so shows and things like that. They reference the team, so I'm familiar with a lot of them. But no, like you said, I mean, I think it's a fantastic opportunity for us to play somebody else that is not New York City and Miami a billion times. But I think at the end of the day, and I'll finish with this. The league and Apple Plus has a lot of riding on Messi. So, like you said, Taylor, I just don't see us winning. I think the result was predetermined for us there. Am I better because we lost to a rival? I am. I'm gonna say it like this: if the next 2 3 years is gonna be this, and this is we're gonna go to the next topic that I want to talk to you guys about. I'm perfectly okay sitting in the dugout, just waiting for it to finish, and then for us to return to normalcy. Now, one of the things that a lot of European fans have always told me when I meet them at the stadium or when I talk to them on social media is that the allure of MLS is anybody can win it, right? It's not Manchester City winning it for 15 billion times, and it's not Barcelona and Real Madrid just taking their turn at holding the trophy. That's the beauty of the MLS. Do you guys feel that with the entrance of Messi, and Messi has not won anything as of right now, as the recording of this today, he has not won anything. He has a tall order, being at the bottom, trying to make playoffs, trying to win a championship, Open Cup, and all that. Do you guys think that with Messi here, that imbalance that we see overseas, or in your case at home, the imbalance that we see outside of the United States may be in the cards for MLS in the coming future? Taylor, let's start with you.
Yeah, well, I mean, Dallas pushed them the closest, pushed Messi and Miami the closest in recent weeks. But that was my fear, and like I said in the opening couple of paragraphs of my blog, post-match blog of that Miami game, I get it. Outside fans can look at these Orlando City conversations, and we're all chatting and it's sour grapes. But when we talk about the Messi impact, I mean, he's got more eyeballs on the league. That makes the league more legitimate worldwide, a league that, is kind of, thought of as second rate by a lot of the Euro snobs, and for what it's worth, likes of me and Dan, we love MLS as it is. The beauty of it, I wrote in that blog, the beauty of it for me is a story like Cincinnati. I'm not particularly keen on Cincinnati as a team, but Pat Noonan has got in there and they're going for the Supporters Shield this season. They were the wooden spoon whipping boys. I mean, we were terrible in our first couple of years in
They were awful.
we were awful. They were worse.
Yeah.
Where they are now. And that's the lure of it. That's Man City, PSG, Bayern Munich. You've all seen what they've done in Europe. I've never wanted Major League Soccer to have a super team. I get that the league is at a kind of tipping point now. Messi's come over. It's amazing for Apple TV and what have you. But the beauty of this league is your stories like is Cincinnati. I mean, what we've got right now, Messi is better than any other player in the league, and he's proving so on the pitch. I'm really eager to see a team beat Miami with him in it, to give me some encouragement that he's not going to just get a brace, at least in every game, and it's a walkover. I mean, the man's a genius. Like I love him. I hate that he's at Miami because I love him, but at the moment they're just steamrolling everyone with him. And it leaves a bitter taste for us because they're our in-state rivals. But I'm pretty sure that the same sentiment is shared with all of the other Major League Soccer teams.
Mhm.
And the question that I've got from Inter Miami UK, from is, wouldn't you love to have him in your team?
Of course.
I promise you, this is my answer to that question. Who wouldn't love to have Messi? Who wouldn't love to go to the Den and get Messi in beautiful gold on the back of their jersey? It'd be incredible. But it comes with strings, doesn't it? It comes with disclaimer, because what we're seeing down there in Miami with all these celebrities and that's not what I love football for. I love Orlando being the blue collar team.
Thank you, brother.
Yeah.
That's what I love. So I'm honest. People might not believe me, but they've just got to take my words at face value. And it's the same. I saw Dan talking about Neymar earlier. We might come on to it later, but we've had it. It's got to be the right character, and it's got to be the right.
Yeah.
I want all of these bandwagon. And we know Explorer has been empty. I won't deny that, but I wouldn't want it filled with all of these bandwagon fans, honestly. So to go back to your question, David, I don't want a super team in MLS. He is the best player there's ever been, and it's proven. So it's proven in MLS. He's kicking ass every game. But it's going to get boring very, very quick for everyone other than Apple TV. And like you said, you'll just sit in the doghouse for the next 2 years. I love Major League Soccer. I don't want to do that. But if I continue seeing, he can go and be the best player he is and beat all of the other teams. And me, you, Dan, everyone has to hold our hands up and say he's too good. But I just want to see not the helping hands. I want to see him beat the teams on his own. I don't want to see the helping hands. And I just... call me a cynic. I'm just seeing the helping hands every game he plays,
and he doesn't need them.
He doesn't need them. And as much as I love the league, I'm always going to continue watching it. But it's going to get harder for me to legitimately do all we do in the podcast and the writing if I'm watching a product where it's just geared up about just making him happy.
Absolutely, Dan.
My main issue with it, I mean, I'm similar to Taylor. I've always been a huge Messi fan. I've always been Messi over Ronaldo. I just love the way the guy plays the game. He's a football purist.
Mm-hmm.
It's a dream. He's incredible. He doesn't need these helping hands. And my things for football, I'm a working class guy. Always have been. I'm from a working class area. I support a working class team here. One of the reasons Orlando resonates with me so much, when the time I spent living there, I saw a lot of Nottingham in Orlando. I saw a lot of similarities. So that it's, to me, blue collar team is the perfect way to put it. Now, I think it was the second match. I can't remember off the top of my head who they were playing. Messi got subbed in the 65th minute, and people are streaming for the exits. That irritates me so much. It's just plastic. And this is the thing. The 2.5 years will go by. I've no doubt Messi will win trophies. He'll tear the league up. He'll be resounding success. But what will happen? Those people are packing the stadium now will disappear again.
Mm-hmm.
They won't be Inter Miami fans after. Sorry, into Fort Lauderdale fans after that. They just won't, and it won't carry on. So it's the whole thing's built on sand. It absolutely. I hate the fact that he's playing on a stadium that's built on stilts, and I'm going to sound really bitter here, but it's true. That thing is an abomination. I have been, and David, you'll know, like following Stevenage, I have been to some terrible grounds in the English lower leagues when like Forest got relegated to League One. I've been to places that don't have running water or even toilets, and I'd still rather go there to go to those places. I would still rather go to York City on a Tuesday night than I would to that abomination, because it's not a stadium. It's got no character. It's soulless. It's on stilts, and it looks like it'll blow over with a strong gust of wind. I am getting a bit passionate now, but yeah, the whole thing is just built on sand, and it's sport not built. We were built. I mean, people will talk about the Aztecs and how we were bought and moved away, but I mean that's just the nature of US sports. If we're being honest, like it's franchise, so you have to move from one place to another. We built. I've been at Camping World Stadium with 800 other people watching Orlando City play. Quite frankly, a terrible standard of football. I mean, we were the best there, but the standard wasn't great. There's no way of. No disrespect to the USL, but it's not. It's a lot better now. Back then, it wasn't great.
And then I don't mean to interrupt you, but you're absolutely right, because in my head, the USL era, and I know Taylor missed on that. It seems like it's just so full of wonder. It's like, when you think about high school
Yeah.
or you think about your childhood street or childhood home. I have gone back to YouTube and watched those games and watch.
Yeah.
We look every bit of a non-league team. I mean, it was just
Yeah.
tiny. It was just
Yeah.
very like below budget. And while I think of the guys that played in that era as giants in our club, there were nobodies. There were people did not know who they were.
Yeah,
So
and they're still giants, but it's like the context, like the actual standard of
Mhm.
football we were playing back
Pure
then, and
football,
the teams
absolutely.
we were playing,
Mhm.
it was poor. But you going through that experience and going through that as a club and a fan base, it's authentic.
Yes.
It's kind of like, I would liken it a little bit to Luton Town being promoted to the Premier League.
yeah.
They've come all the way. I mean, back in the 70s and 80s, they were a pretty decent team, but they've come all the way up from the 5th tier to the Premier League now. Our USL story feels a little bit like that. There's character in the story to it. Into Miami, it's just like, oh, David Beckham, you signed for the LA Galaxy. Do you want a team in 15 years? And I just can't get behind that. I feel the same about Atlanta as well.
Yeah.
Stuck in their NFL stadium. It's just so plastic.
And
No,
sorry to interrupt you guys.
Yes.
But this was the feeling at full time. I wasn't awake.
Yeah.
I was asleep.
Yeah.
But when I saw the scoreline, the feeling was whatever, have it. I was proud to be an Orlando City supporter, even in defeat a couple of weeks ago, because we gave it all we could give it,
No, absolutely. And building on what Dan said, I think that's why Steven H and the other club that I follow, Maccabi Haifa in Israel, resonate with me because Orlando in Florida. For those that don't know, that probably are tuning in for the first time. Orlando is always seen as a backdrop to the coastal cities in Florida because all the glitz, all the shows, Scarface wasn't about Tony Montana in the mean streets of Orlando. It was Miami, and Miami Vice. It was an Orlando Vice, right? So the fact of the matter is that we're not this super cosmopolitan city. We're getting there, but not. I mean, Miami has light years ahead of us. We're not coastal. It's very blue collar. We're a tourist town for the most part. And where I come from in Puerto Rico is basically the same thing. It's just I come from a suburb, landlocked city in the Caribbean, on a Caribbean island. So I can relate with a lot of the struggles that we have here. And with Steven, it's the same thing. Steven H is an expert of London. They don't get a lot of love. People always say, "Oh, look, Steven H is a place where I just go pump gas or take a piss before going into London." And Taylor's from Steven, so I say that very respectfully. I hear that, and with Maccabi Haifa, Maccabi Haifa for years was the club of the immigrants, of the Muslim Arabs, of the undesirables of society, the poor people. And then all of a sudden now they're a powerhouse. And my friends basically who got me into the club reflect those ethnic groups that supported the club. And it's great to ride the wave with a club, but you gotta stay there when the wave goes down. And I don't see in Miami, like Dan said, the Messi gets subbed and people leave. To me, it's the antithesis of football is what you see in Miami. Superstars, $600,000 tickets. And I'm glad I got you guys. There's a YouTuber from England. He does. The name of his channel is Away Days. Ellis Platten. He has been. He was here last year with his girlfriend. Did a episode on our club. Maybe the 5th time he has visited us. He has been to Steven H. Has been to Arsenal. I mean, his shtick is different things on football. And he came here when we played Charlotte last year, and I thought it was a beautiful piece. And he explains MLS. Listen, it may not be the greatest football in the world, but it's fun. If you're coming with an open mind, you're gonna enjoy yourself. And he was invited by the club and told, he found out later that his tickets right next to Messi's family were selling for about $500,000. I cannot fathom why will anybody pay what a surgeon probably makes in a year saving lives to go sit there for 2 hours and watch football when football in its core has always been blue collar, has been, Saturday afternoon after we get out of the mine, out of the killing floor in the meat factory. That's what football is.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, I'm getting off my soapbox, but I just with you guys, to me, I don't feel defeated. I don't feel vanquished. I don't feel like that. Like I said, and maybe it may be a bad attitude to take, but like I said, if this is the circus that we're gonna have, I'll just sit in a corner, have some drinks with my friends, and when you're done with your circus, then I'll come back to it. So with that said, guys, and I realize we're already 46 minutes in. It's late at night for those that are watching or listening. Time difference. It's going to be almost 11 o'clock in England right now. So I want to wrap it up. We return, friends, to the league play on the 20th, which will be next Saturday. I believe it's next Saturday.
Next Sunday, actually. It's Sunday.
Yeah, it's Sunday. You're absolutely correct. Thank you, Taylor. It's next Sunday. We're gonna be away at Chicago, and then we return the following week, which is a Saturday, and we are going to be playing the new boys in the league, St. Louis, and that's gonna be at 7:30 local time, 12:30 in England, if I'm not mistaken. So, with that said, we have these two games to sort of get us back onto the league. Expectations as we head on a collision course to the playoffs, hopefully for the fourth time in a row. Let's go start with Dan and then Taylor.
Just before I go into that, just kind of to wrap up the whole into Fort Lauderdale thing. The day Kim Kardashian rocks up in the West Club, I'm out. I'm sorry. I'm out. I'm done. Yeah. No. In terms of expectations for the rest of the season, particularly over those two games, I'd be content with 4 points, but I don't see why we can't get 6. If I'm being completely honest, we've got the momentum. I think the guys will have a bit of a chip on their shoulder as well after what happened in Fort Lauderdale. So, yeah, to hell with it. We're going to go for 6 points. I mean, we get a couple of wins, and then we see out the season, and we get a home playoff spot. It's my call.
I'm excited. Yeah, I'm excited for the running. 11 games to go. I'm just looking at the remaining schedule as we speak now. And in terms of away games, FC Cincinnati and Nashville away look daunting. Tough places to go. Vasquez and Mukhtar at the peak of their powers. But I actually don't worry about Orlando City in road games. I mean, Oscar, that's what he does. So those are the toughies. If I actually look at the home games remaining, St. Louis are flying. I mean, it's pretty incredible what they've done in their inaugural season, to be honest with you. But we've actually wrote the ship at home, actually. Our home form was terrible earlier in the season, but we've kind of put that right, if you add in the Leagues Cup kind of triumphs as well. So I'm looking at the games remaining, and obviously there's that big one, Orlando City versus Inter Miami, Sunshine Classico, revenge season, September 24. That's the one I'm most looking forward to by default. But I'm looking at the rest of the schedule and what we've done in the last couple months, and I'm feeling okay about it. Decision day up there at TFC. I mean, if they could get relegated out of a Major League Soccer, they would have been relegated already. I mean,
yeah.
But that's a favourable decision day game if we need it. I'm hoping we don't need it, but we know Major League Soccer is so unpredictable. But I'm looking at the 11 games remaining, and I'm going to tack on to what Dan said. I think the kind of guy Oscar Pereira is, the kind of locker room we have, and the guys in there like Antonio Carlos, Robin Janssen. They've had all these weeks now since that Miami game on the 2nd, stewing on it, angry. We saw Felipe. He actually followed us. So thanks, Felipe, for following us.
Nice fella.
he's really been playing up to the fans the last couple of weeks. He's not played a ton this season, but he kind of gets it. The fans love that kind of thing. And I think these kind of characters, we're going to use it. They've got a chip on their shoulder. We're going to use it as fuel. And I'm really, really excited to get going again. Chicago away to reset. Chicago, middle of the road side. Don't know if Chris Mueller will be back. Be interesting to see. But
no, he's out for the season, by the way.
He's out for the season, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But no, I think that's a game. We should be trying to get a win. To be honest with you, we know what to do in road games. So really excited for it, and let's nail down that top 4 place. That's where everyone thought we'd be at the start of the season. We might have taken the scenic route to get there, but if we can finish in there, I'll be very, very happy.
Great. I'm sorry, Dan. I'm sorry, I lost track for first time.
Yeah, no, I went first.
No, you went first. Okay, great, awesome. Yeah. So, with that said, to round it up, there's been rumors that we're on the wings of making a managerial change. Rumors are what they are. I have to be honest that some of the sources in Brazil, while some people have dismissed, they have the following. I look at some of the Brazilian accounts that are retweeting this stuff, and they got like 600,000 followers, 700,000 followers. So I'm like, I don't know, if somebody with that caliber or some like news organizations will retweet fluff because they lose their integrity and the trust of the people. Now, I have to tell you this is a personal story. I'm gonna make it quick because the show today was about these 2 gentlemen, not me. I had a source that came to me and said, "Hey, by the way, Sylvester van der Water is gonna be gone in the summer." So I reached out to Ricardo Moreira. I'm just gonna throw it out there, and I say, "Hey, Ricardo, I heard this. Is it true? If it is, I'm not gonna say anything as always. I'll keep those things to myself. But if it isn't, I just want to know because I don't want to repeat something that is not true, and also hurt the team in the process." And he told me, no, that's not true. And what happened? He was gone in the summer. So there's been occasions where I've been privileged for people to reach out to me with information, and Dan and Taylor know. Okay, I just gotta throw it out. They know because we talk. And then all of a sudden, it comes to pass. Of course, the club denies it because I always, reach out to several people in the club, like, "Hey, I got this information. Is it true or not?" And they always tell me, "No, it's not true. That's not true." And it just comes to pass. So now in the future, every time somebody denies something, I'm just gonna say, "Okay, well, it's gonna happen." But there's these rumors. It's one of the things that was said was that there was a meeting with Oscar. As we all know, his contract has not been renewed. There's no talks of extension. They had a meeting where sources say that he was laid a plan. He had to have a deep run in Leagues Cup, which I believe, under the circumstances, you can consider successful. We left our group, and of course, we unfortunately ran into Messi early on. And then we have to make playoffs, and we have to win a game in the playoffs for the club to consider an extension, not even a contract, an extension. So it's up in the air what's going to happen. But if it does, just hypothetical question here: if we make a managerial change, who do you not who personally, but what characteristics that new manager has to have for you to say getting rid of arguably the most successful Orlando City manager that we ever had was worth it? And we're gonna start with Taylor this time since Dan started the last time.
Yeah, well, what I liked about the Oscar Pereira hire and why it was a coup after James O'Connor was given his marching orders was he knew the league inside out. So I've seen these Tite rumors, and he's a guy who's managed the Brazilian national team, so you don't get that job lightly. But Major League Soccer is a nuanced league, so it really is anyone's guess whether you're an expert, whether you're just a podcaster, whether you're a blogger. It's anyone's guess whether someone like Tito's rumored can actually be a success in the league. Obviously, if you're a good manager, you'll make it work. It's about coaching players, it's about making them better. It's about outsmarting your opponent on match days. But I really want Oscar to achieve his goals. I do what you two said earlier about it's the club. Head coaches come and go. I'm 100% with you on that as well. Maybe it's because I've met the guy and he's such a gentleman.
He's awesome in person.
And because I was there in person in such a special way, with everyone crowdfunding me to go. Such a special memory that, I really want him to be the guy, as I'm sure you two want him to be the guy as well. But like you said, quantifying success, what percent chance do you give Orlando City win an MLS Cup? It's probably slim. So, as much as I love him, I'm going to say it on the pod tonight. I think we make playoffs. Whether it's top 4 or not, I'm not too certain of yet. I'll be honest with that. Could it be one and done again, or best of 3 and done? Quite possibly, to be honest with you. And that would leave us all in a kind of state of, yeah, Oscar can take it that far, but not. And I want him to prove me wrong on that. Whether he will or not, time will tell. But we've all known about the Brazilian connection at Orlando City over the years. There's outlandish rumours of Neymar at the moment. There's those rumours, as you said, David, Tite. And when I saw him, I thought that's absolutely rubbish. But then when I started to dig a bit deeper, like you had, and you saw the kind of amount of followers that these people were sending, I thought, well, there must be something to it. So it's going to be really, really interesting. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I think the rumours with him and Tite, they came out. Was it pre or post the Atlanta game? Which was our.
It was before the Miami game, if I'm not mistaken, between the Atlanta and Miami.
Yeah, before the match. So it's a really strange time for a rumor like that to be released, because everyone kind of was like, Oscar, he's not the guy. It's kind of flipped back and said he is the guy. So it was really weird timing.
Yeah.
We're going to have to keep an eye on it. It could be one of these flash in the pan things we saw in the first couple of years of Orlando City. Who was the player? Was it Ganso? They linked with us every summer.
I remember that.
And it just fizzled out to another. Diego was another one, the attacking midfielder.
Chicharito was another one. Ronaldo, yeah.
So I'm still taking the Tite stuff with a pinch of salt right now, and I'm hoping that Oscar can, win that contract extension in the eyes of the Wolves. But I think it would be foolish to presume that the club, weren't kind of sounding people out behind the scenes. I think that's just what good clubs do. But I'm really hoping that Oscar is the guy. It would be some story, wouldn't it, if from this point forth, we went deep into the playoffs. Who knows? But as much as I love the club, I want to get away from this one and done like we've been the last couple of years.
Yes.
For me, it's not an achievement for me to simply make the playoffs. That's the key point I'm making here. It's part of North American soccer that it's celebrated. But for us, we have to be aiming higher than that. We've done it now. For years we couldn't knock down the door to get in the playoff. We've done it now. We know how it feels. We know how a good decision day feels. It's now time to go one step further. And I think the players, as they've shown over the last couple of months, I think they're back on board. They're dialed in. And I think we can, be quietly confident about our chances of getting a top 4 place.
Fantastic, Dan.
Yeah, it's difficult because I always think when you're changing manager, you have to upgrade. Now, back in the winter, you had the likes of Tata Martino around, or I remember saying to some people that you could go and throw a blank check at someone like Bruce Arena, though that probably wouldn't be a good idea right now, but by the sounds of it. You've got to be able to upgrade. There's no point in going like sideways step. If you use an example from my team here, Steve Cooper's probably one of the most popular Forest managers of all time. And there was 2 points actually during last season where his job was under threat. And the owner came out and said after the Arsenal game, sorry, I've got to get that in there, Taylor, after earlier, where we stayed up, he said, the reason I didn't sack him is because there was no one better. I know it sounds really brutal, but that's just the kind of owner he is. So with Oscar, it's very much the same. You're looking at the pool of managers that are out there now who realistically we could obtain. I've seen people say like Jesse Marsh and people like that, and I'm just like, that's just not realistic at this point. So you've kind of just got to let the season play out. I think if we're like one and done, and like I said earlier, scraping on the last day of the season, then you start to look at it a bit more seriously. If we go quite deep, or if we go a couple of rounds and we generally look good, then I think you give him a new contract, unless there is somebody that's available at that time who would come in and take us to the next level. Because football is cyclical. And I've kind of had this discussion with a lot of people. Like we get emotionally attached to managers, like we all do, but there's a ceiling for each one. Like Jose Mourinho's ceiling, Pep Guardiola's ceiling will all be different to Oscar Pereira's. So I think if you're thinking of getting rid of Oscar Pereira, you have to bring in somebody that's better. Like if I use another English example with Chelsea, when they first had the Abramovich takeover, they had Ranieri. He could take them to fourth, and that was about it. So then it was like, all right, who's going to take us to the next level? It's Mourinho, and it's like that. You have to build. You have to keep building. You can't get stagnant. So, and I'm not saying we are getting stagnant. I'm just saying I think we let the season play out, see how far we get, and then we take it from there.
Fantastic. And last question, guys. How do you guys see MLS exposure in England? And is your average English football fan, is he or her willing to give MLS a chance? Obviously, easy for me to say now that Messi is in everybody's mouths, but my the people that I have become friends online, following Steve Inich and following Maccabi Haifa, they have seen Orlando City. When Orlando City makes the news, they're like, oh, hey, I know you follow these guys, and because MLS for many years was very difficult to be for you to watch it outside of the United States. Now Apple Plus has thrown that out of the window. If you have a few dollars, few pounds or euros or whatever currency in your country to spare, you can watch MLS, all of it. That's the beauty of the deal. Again, to reiterate the question, how do you guys see MLS in the forefront of the English landscape? Are people willing to do it? Give it a chance. And I gotta finish that with this. I do see a lot of people from the UK at games all the time, and from the whole pyramid. And I have to tell you this: when I recognize those League Two and League One kids, and I say hello, I say, hey, I follow Steve Inich. I just wanted to say hello, thank you for coming, whatever. People look as if I had just landed in a UFO, gone out and shaking their hands, because they're like, oh my God, you know about my club. So I think it's just beautiful, the fact that
nice,
that people can be that far away from home and find kinship and common ground. So let's start with you, Dan, since Taylor went last and went first last time, and then we're gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Oh, you're muted, Dan. You're muted.
Right.
There we go.
I'd be really interested to see the Apple TV viewing numbers over here, because my only concern, and I had this concern when they brought the deal in, again, I think it's been fantastic for the league, but before, Sky Sports was the MLS rights carrier over here, and they used to get decent numbers, to be honest, and Free Sports was the other one, which is like a free-to-air channel, hence the name. So I don't know how many Brits are paying for season pass that aren't sort of in like the MLS UK community. I'd be interested to know that. As far as I know, I don't think they've released any figures like that.
No, not yet.
In terms of like general perception, the perception of the league is improving generally, because you've had a lot of high profile players come over who've done really well, like Alphonso Davies, etc.
Mhm.
But you do still have this sort of mindset with some people that they just can't look past the. And which I was talking on Twitter a couple of weeks ago about, the old penalties. People over here just really don't like that sort of thing, and a lot of people kind of find it hard to look past that. And I'm like, well, if you actually give it a chance, you might find you actually really enjoy it. And I've had that discussion a lot this week with Forest signing Matt Turner, who had a great game today. So that's players coming over from MLS doing well over here will eventually see those opinions shift. I mean, generally it's trending in the right direction. I know Jose Mourinho said the other day that a lot of clubs are scouting MLS now, and that people have been talking about that, saying, oh yeah, actually it's not as bad as perhaps they would have believed originally. But I feel like the MLS UK community, especially on Twitter, is quite big now. There's quite a few accounts and people that I've met who follow MLS teams. It's not that uncommon now, actually, for me to walk around town and see other MLS shirts. Seen a few too many Messi shirts recently.
Worldwide.
But yeah, I saw a Chicago Fire one not so long ago, like a retro one, and it's like, well, I don't think you'd have that unless you were dialed in. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So, yeah, I definitely feel like the perception's getting better. Like I said, I'd be really interested to see the numbers. But yeah, I think that's it really.
Awesome. Taylor?
Yeah, when Dan just said there about seeing a Fire jersey, what was really, really weird, this is going back a few games now, when we went to the Sounders away earlier this season, I was generally pulling into my my estate just outside Rugby, Warwickshire. And no word of a lie, there was a guy on a bike in a Sounders jersey on the day we were playing, and I was like, did I really just see that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I am starting to see that a lot more in terms of, people wearing jerseys from Major League Soccer clubs, whether it's just a fashion statement. There's certainly a fair share of kitsters, myself included, now on nowadays, versus like a deep love, and an affection and a knowledge of a team. I don't know, but yeah, the thing in terms of perception, it is going in the right direction. There's a lot of snobbery still. There's a lot of xenophobia. A lot of people just don't like America in general, that, they've made up their opinion before even watching a game. What they'll actually find is if they watch a game, they'll discover a league that is a hell of a lot more exciting than even the Premier League is at times. You might call me crazy for saying that, but in terms of the eventual winners, the eventual top 4, the eventual top 6, very rarely changes a lot. And I'm support Arsenal, who's part of that. So that's the allure of Major League Soccer. But I just wonder, I've got season pass. I absolutely love it. It's been a game changer. Believe me when I say that, a game changer for people like me, people like Dan, who had to trawl the dark web, and get all kinds of weird and wonderful ads after dark to try and watch Orlando City games. And we made it happen because that's how passionate we are. But the fact I can literally be on my phone, if the wife, I don't want to wake her up and I still want to watch it on the phone, or I can go in my office and a couple of clicks, I can watch Cincinnati versus St. Louis. I can watch whatever I want. It's absolutely amazing. But I just wonder for the UK audience, the European audience, I think you've got to be an absolute diehard to shell out £99 standardized pricing. So it was $99 as far as
cheaper than I follow. I can tell you that the EFL side follows $330 a season. So
right, and I'm speaking to that. I've just paid another £30 a month on my Sky subscription to get TNT Sports. So effectively to watch Premier League games, I've paid £107 a month, and I'm paying my £99 a season for MLS season pass. So I think Dan said it right. I think you got to be a diehard to shell out that money. You've got to really follow a club and have an affinity like we have. Before, when it was on Sky Sports and Free Sports, you would get the typical fan who's, probably waiting for Match of the Day to come on in England. He's flicking through the channels and he's like, oh, what's this? That's what's stopped now. The guys who had Sky before might come across a game and watch it. Oh, Rooney's on the touchline, or Kaká's playing, and they might have stopped in their tracks. Apple TV is amazing for us, but I just wonder, I'd be really interested at the end of this season, how many signups they legitimately have in Europe. Because I don't think it would be massive at all. If I'm really honest, I'd be surprised if it was massive. But the league is, getting more legitimate in the Euro snobs' eyes all the time, even if they don't want to admit it. And the thing that really moves the needle is the players. It's like Miguel Almiron, is now, a legitimate, solid Premier League player. Everyone knows about Alphonso Davies. It's the young guys, Arsenal just sold Austin Trusty. I don't know if he played for Sheffield United today, but that's a guy who came through Union's academy, and he's making his way. The more of those transfers that start, Matt Turner, played for my team last week.
Daryl Dike, I can't believe you have not mentioned him.
I know, right? He had a solid game today. The Saka's goal was amazing. No one could stop it. But the more of those players that, that's the guy, wasn't he at New England? It's those things that are really moving the needle, and we are seeing it more and more. Guys that are playing in the Premier League, or more commonly, Portugal or Germany or the Netherlands. That's the thing that is kind of making Major League Soccer a lot more legitimate in people's eyes. But the thing I say all of the time, and the thing I want to say again on this podcast, and why I don't want any super teams and bandwagon fans, I love Major League Soccer just as it is. And it's that thing, when you find your favorite band and then they become big, they release a hit record, and everyone, I love Major League Soccer is our thing. It's not everyone's cup of tea, and that's fine, but we love it. And I would hate in the next couple of years with Messi and the circus, I would hate for it. Don Garber and everyone and Apple TV wants it to go to the masses. I'm not sure I do. I like it as it is, but the times change. But I'm going to be supporting Orlando City no matter what. But
same here, my friend. Same here. So, guys, I want to thank you for taking the time to talk to me. I know it's late over there, and over the years, I've gotten to know more about you, and hopefully, you guys more about me, and this love for our club, for Orlando City. I know it's very real with you guys, and the amount of time that you guys put into the effort of spreading the word and covering the club is something that I appreciate. Then, if you don't mind plugging in your platforms where you are being active, I know that you also are you have the privilege of going to the post game interviews. You also post the B-roll video of games and practices and things like that. So go ahead, and if you don't mind letting people know where to find you, your YouTube channel, all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, pretty much everywhere at the minute. I've had a real expansion year this year. So the main thing I'd want to plug is the website. So it's www.theenglishlion.net. You can find me on Twitter as @theenglishlion1, and then I've got a bio link to all our other socials. So we're on YouTube, Instagram, Threads, TikTok. I think that's all of it. But Twitter's the main one, definitely.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you, my friend. Again, if you can plug in your Twitter, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh yeah, sorry. @theenglishlion1.
Thank you very much. And Taylor.
Yes, so you can find us our website. That's what I'm most proud of. The website. I think we're over 700 blogs now. Can you believe that?
Wow.
Since 2016. So
the last one was fantastic, by the way.
Thank you. So go check out all our stats previews and content on there. We got the goalkeeper jersey, the pink one, that really bright one the other day. We've just done an unboxing of that. So go check out all that fun stuff at weareorlandocity.uk.com. We're also on X. Elon Musk, what a clown. X at Orlando. If he changes the URLs, by the way, I'm going to be very unhappy. That's all I'm going to say. But yeah, and also just to finish off, I cannot let an hour 14 go by without mentioning this man's name. Duncan Maguire is the truth. Orlando runs on Duncan. What an incredible, incredible rookie season. It's only going to get better.
No, absolutely, guys. If we were to talk about everything, we'll be here for 3 hours. So again, I want to thank our friends from England from joining me. If there's anybody that has never watched or listened to our podcast, just for their benefit, I can be found on Twitter, new Twitter handle because the bitterness is leaving my body as we speak. Is at King David 407, and the podcast can be found on audio wherever you consume your podcast. We're on Twitch live at 9 p.m. Orlando time on Mondays at On the Capostan. We're on X at On the Capostan, on YouTube at David's Channel 76, on Instagram at On the Capostan, on Facebook on the Capostan. So once again, I want to thank Dan and Taylor from joining us tonight. This Monday, myself, Ahmed, and John will be back at it to preview our game against Chicago. Thank you guys. Appreciate it. And I will be saying goodbye as we always do, reminding you that football is the game for those that don't mind having the mouth smashed and the hearts broken. Football is not played on paper but on grass. From Dan, Taylor, and myself, may God bless you. And as always, vamos, Orlando.
Vamos, Orlando.
Orlando.